Gentlemen, hello. Hello, good evening. Today is Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. The time is 10:43 p.m. And as you see the title of the video, today I'm going to be going over how I, a 5'9", 145-pound, non-looks max, non-gym maxed, 25-year-old American approached a hot Spanish supermodel in the rain today in London. All right, that'll be the finale of the video. So before I get into that, I'm gonna recount my day. I'm gonna go over how the session went overall, how the filming went, and a few hangups along the way. All right. So firstly, if you don't know who I am, my name is Ephraim, 25 years old. I'm from San Francisco, California, and 2 years ago my dating life was atrocious. I was always swiping on apps, not getting any matches. It took me 8 months at a time to get laid. I would get drunk with my roommates and go to bars, and we wouldn't do shit. Even though we were pointing out girls that were hot, none of us would walk over. And I was just frustrated that I had friends from high school that they had no problem getting girlfriends, and they typically were still with the girlfriends they met when we were back in high school. But I simply had no luck, and I didn't know why. And it was a very lonely existence, and that was just 2.5 years ago in 2023. And then radically changed my life. Learned how to build courage and walk over to girls in public during the daytime when everybody can watch me and hear me. And since doing that, dating life has done a complete 180. And now I've gotten so proficient at it that I actually teach guys how to do the same, how to take control of their dating life, stop leaving it up to an algorithm, and how to begin to create romance in broad daylight on any given day without having to go to a specific location to do it and without having to hit on anybody in their inner circle. Yeah, I've developed a playbook. I call it the Quiet Confidence Playbook, and that is what I use in my everyday life whenever I want to line up a date. And so I've learned how to package it into a product, and I give it to guys that work with me privately through one on one coaching. So if you are somebody that is potentially seen my content, or if you're brand new, feel free to browse through all the infield content I've been pumping out over the last few weeks. But yeah, if you're familiar with my content and you're tired of sitting on the sidelines and watching me line up all these dates, which I don't even go on, I'm just doing them for demonstration, and you're tired of Ephraim lining up the fucking dates and you want to do it yourself, then please be my guest. That's the entire reason why my channel exists, is to help you do that. And so, yeah, click the first link in the description below to schedule a free application call with me, so that way we can see if you're a good fit for coaching. And if you are, then I will install my playbook into you, so that rather than sitting and subscribing to me and turning the notification bells on and watching my fucking content and watching what happens when I walk over and chat girls up and get dates, instead of just watching me do it from the sidelines, you can do it yourself. You can stop watching fucking Pull University videos. You can unsubscribe and you can just start doing it yourself, and creating a rockstar dating life for yourself. Because what fun is it just watching a guy on the internet do it, right? The whole point of my channel is to get you to a position where you can do it. All right. So that's what I help guys with. And I've already helped quite a few guys in 4 different countries. And so I'm looking to help as many as I possibly can, because I know there's a lot of pain out there in the world. There's a lot of guys that find themselves in the same position that I did, dissatisfied with their dating life, often settling for girls that they don't even like, they're not even attracted to, but they're just so horny. They're like, fuck, I gotta fuck something. That's where I used to be. Yeah, the off occasion I got a Tinder match. Usually it was a chubby girl, and I was like, I gotta fuck something, don't I? And now I'm approaching Spanish supermodels, right? What do you? Same guy, same height, same weight, less money than back then. Back then I had a six-figure programming job, doing all the shit that the red pillars told me I needed to do to get the girl, and I had less of a dating life back then than I do now, with less money, same height, same scrawny frame, but just a boatload more of the courage, right? So, anyways, let's get into the story. So, yeah, I'll begin from the beginning of the day. The day started off absolutely shit. All right, so bad. So, firstly, I was late to our meeting location. Dirty Dan is my cameraman out here, and I was late because it was raining like shit. So everything was delayed, as you can imagine. Also, there's a London tube strike going on. So all of the underground rail system is delayed, or excuse me, shut down right now, and so we can't use that. So it's pretty much bus only overground travel. I'm not paying $120 for a Uber into Central, right? And so So my bus, there was two buses I needed to take to get to our meeting location. The first bus was all right. All right, I even got a seat up. There's a two-story bus, two-decker. I got a seat upstairs. All right, I was relaxing on my way. I was on schedule, and then the bus drops us off at the point where I had to catch the second bus. Right, and this bus stop was so packed. The first, the first round of the bus that I needed, it was like the bus number 36 or something. It came, it let out passengers, and then closed the doors immediately and left me and the other 50 people at the bus stop somewhat angry, somewhat agitated, going, "What the fuck? You just let off some passengers. You could let us in, right?" But the bus driver was saying, "No, no, we're full. We're at capacity." And I get it, all right? So he just kept driving. So I added another 10, 15 minutes to the travel time. And then the second bus came, all right, 36 or whatever it was, once again, 10 minutes later. And this bus driver did let us on, but the problem here is that he probably shouldn't, because now we were way over capacity. All right. So once I got on this bus, I had these old ass men with man tits that were behind me, like pushing me into the bus, like resting their hand on my lower back. I felt so violated. And I'm looking back going, all right, bro, we're on the bus. No need to keep touching me. Like, get your fucking hand off me, right? So the guy finally listens, but like, I get it. I was probably too harsh. It was an old guy trying to get on his bus and not miss his stop, but I get it. But like, still, I was like, stop fucking touching me, right? And so we're packed in this bus like fucking sardines. Like, there was like an inch of breathing room, and whoever was next to me, their breath smelled like ass. And so for the 35-minute bus ride, which it was only like a mile and a half away from my destination, but because there's so much traffic, because of the tube strike, and London is so packed right now, I was inhaling the wretched breath of whoever was next to me. It smelled awful. It smelled absolutely awful. And that was like a 35-minute bus ride, right? So keep in mind, we're all packed together and shit, standing bus only, right? Fucking awful. So that was how we began the day. Then I got to the meeting location. I met up with Dirty Dan. And by the way, the reason I'm building all this up is to show you that the outcome of the day was absolutely rock star, even though it started out so shit, right? So just to give you more potential excuses that you can use, and then just fucking eliminate them right in front of your face, right? Because guys love to use every fucking excuse under the sun. And my day ended off flirting with a hot supermodel. So it's like, is that a valid excuse? No, not really, right? So continuing on. I finally get to the bus stop. All right, so I meet Dirty Dan at the Starbucks, and here's my second mistake. It's freezing outside because it's raining and it's chilly in London right now. And I don't know why I did this, but I order an iced latte, right? And it doesn't even click until they make my drink, and then I walk outside and I go, okay, it's freezing, and I got an iced latte. Not the smartest idea, guy. And then on top of that, I was feeling a little risky today, so I ordered a pumpkin spice latte for the first time. So I got a pumpkin spice iced latte. And I take the first sip and I realize it tastes like absolute shit. So for those of you who like Starbucks drinks, I would highly not recommend getting a pumpkin spice latte. It tasted like ass. So this is the start of the day. I've been packed in the bus. It's raining. I'm late to the meetup location. I got my iced nasty latte in my hand. And I go, all right, Daniel, let's start filming now. And so what I say to the camera, right? Because I like to I like to record intros, and so we're doing a walking intro today. And I just said everything I just said to you. I condensed it into like 2 minutes, and I said it to camera while we were walking down the streets of London. And I go, all right, gentlemen, so we've arrived back in Central. It's a shit day, off to a shit start, and here's why. And I start going, bus was packed, it's freezing, it's pissing rain, iced chai, dirty, or whatever, iced pumpkin spice latte, tastes like shit. Fuck, man, we're off to a terrible start. And then, not to mention, yesterday, for those of you who caught yesterday's live stream, yesterday is the day I got absolutely pummeled on Oxford Street, right? So it's like that negative momentum carrying me into today, which starts out shit. And I'm like, here we fucking go, right? Now, what's great is, as I was saying this intro, I was going, all right, so now that I've told you how shit the day has begun, let me now demonstrate how to not use any of that as an excuse and just walk over and just get right into set. And let me show you that none of these excuses are valid. They just are. This is just life. Sometimes circumstances are not as ideal as you'd hope. And does that mean that we have to quit and throw in the towel? Not at all. And so, as I'm saying all this, cute girl passes by and I go, let me demonstrate for you what I'm talking about right now. And so I doubled back, and it ended up being this cute girl from Switzerland. And so we chat really briefly, about 20 seconds. She was really appreciative of the compliment. And then as we're talking a bit more, she tells me she's here to study English, and then she says, "But I do have a boyfriend." All right, so that cut it off pretty quick, and I go, "All right, well, your English sounds decent. Good luck studying. I'll see you later. Or, have a nice day, whatever." And so I walk away from that girl, right? And then I'm still uncut, still talking to camera, and then it starts really pissing rain. So we have to, Dirty Dan and I duck into a little overhang so that we can avoid the rain. We stop filming. We talk about um, random shit for 10 minutes, and then the rain kind of settles down. So we go back out. We start recording again. So unfortunately, obviously, this one won't be uncut. But yeah, at least we're trying our best. And I go in for another approach like 2 minutes after we start filming, and once again, very quick. The girl stopped. Loved this. This was like a really really good reaction to the compliment. And then I said, "What are you up to?" And she says, "I'm actually on my way to meet my boyfriend." And I go, "Oh, you're kidding? Wow, great timing. Tell the man I say hi." Yeah, and so that was funny. So yeah, off to I'd still say a good start because both of the girls really liked the compliment. They engaged with me. They just happened to both be taken. So anyways, we continue recording the infield, and about 10 minutes elapse, and I'm walking, and it's raining, and the streets are thinning out, and so then it starts raining heavily, and so we duck back under a cover, and so then we go, okay, let's call the infield for now. We change tasks and we start recording intros for me and my other videos, and then throughout the day we have a few more approaches sprinkled in there. So I'll go over those. So I had one approach that went spectacular, about a 7 minute long conversation. This was about we meet up around 1:30 p.m. at least today, and so this was probably about 2:30 p.m. ish when this conversation happened. But yeah, it was a girl from a city called Oxford, which I guess is nearby London, and she works out here in London, and we had a decent conversation. It wasn't that fun of a conversation, but the flirtiness was there, and so after a little bit of back and forth, and we found some common ground. She had been to the United States. She said she had visited Florida before, and I was like, huh. People tell me Florida is unhinged. Like, we have a running joke in the United States about Florida. Did you find that to be the case? And she was like, yeah, they were crazy. And I was like, okay, cool. So yeah, we had a little bit of commonality there, and then I ended up just telling her flat out, like, hey, look, I'm here for the month. I want to take you out, and she said yeah. And so I gave her my fake WhatsApp number, and so unfortunately, I will never be taking her out, but on camera, great demonstration to show you how you can start off the day in a bad mood. Rain's pissing down on you. You ordered a nasty pumpkin spice latte. It tastes like shit, and it was ice, so now I'm freezing. Right? Just got pummeled on Oxford Street yesterday. Now I meet a girl from Oxford, and it goes amazing. Right? Date set up. We even got pretty specific with the day. We were talking about meeting up next Wednesday. And I was like, all right, you're gonna have to pick the venue because I'm new here, and so she agreed. So there you go, right? So if I was dating out here in London, then yet another date lined up, right? Keep in mind, on a day that started off really, really, really shit. All right, so that's the important part. That's the point of the live stream. All right. Now, continuing on, we're two approaches away from Miss Spanish Supermodel, so hold your horses. I know you're foaming at the mouth right now, but so we continue walking. We cross over Tower Bridge, get to South Bank, and we record an intro for me for another one of my videos that are upcoming. And straight after the intro, there are two Italian sisters that walk past me. And one on the right was striking, one on the left was cute. And I walk over to both of them, got it clipped once again, so I stop them both, and we engage in a quick conversation. Now, they loved the compliment, they loved the conversation. At one point, about 30 seconds into the conversation, I look at the one on the right that's that I like even more, and I point to her, and then I look at her sister who's been doing most of the talking, and I go, does she speak or she doesn't speak? and then and then funny enough, she goes, no, she just doesn't really speak English at all. And so yeah, the one that was hotter was like just making sounds and shit. She didn't speak a lick of English, which was hilarious. But no, the other sister we were communicating just fine. And so at some point, by the way, Isaac, I was trying to pretend line you up a double date on camera because I was going, oh, I got my boy from I forget where you're from, Isaac. I forget the city, but I got my boy from this whatever city near London, and he's awesome. And I want to take you on a double date. I'll invite him. We'll have a great time. Obviously, would never have gone through because they're for demonstration. But I'm saying I had you in mind, my boy. I had you in mind when I was lining up the theoretical double date, and and yeah, she she said that the one that's hotter, she pointed at her sister and she goes, "Well, she has a boyfriend." And I go, "Oh, I understand." And they were leaving in a couple days anyway, so they declined my invitation. They declined my proposal for a date, which is totally okay. But they appreciated the compliment nonetheless. So left them better than I found them. I told them to enjoy their last few days here in London, go check out the Big Ben. They said that's where they're headed. So left him better than I found him. And then this is cool because we didn't stop rolling. And so then we were going back up Tower Bridge to cross back over to the side where we were going to catch the bus and part ways, me and Dan Man. And so as I'm breaking down that conversation with the two Italian sisters, we get to the bridge. I'm going up the stairs. We get to the bridge. We start walking. And this is when Miss Spanish Supermodel passes me. And immediately I clock her, right? So I'm talking to the camera and I get really distracted because she was like taking selfies on the bridge and shit. And she looks, like if she didn't tell me she was a model, but you asked me to guess what she did, that probably would have been one of my first guesses, because I was like one of those girls where you see her and you go, oh shit, like oh fuck me, now guys that I've coached, right? Some of my clients, and then of course my friends that approach as well. We see a girl like that and we go, finally, fuck me, where is she been? I need to go approach her right now, right? But to the general population, yeah, most guys who would never do anything as audacious as what I do, they see the girl and they go, oh my god, and usually they stare for about 10 seconds until she catches them staring, and then they look away real quick, or they look down and they walk by and they pretend like they didn't see her. Yeah, that kind of girl. And it's funny that I'm making fun of that kind of a guy because that's who I was 2.5 years ago, right? So just to normalize myself for the viewer, I'm nobody special. I've just developed this courage muscle, and so I'm gonna get into the approach. But just so you know, this is not something I could have done for the vast majority of my life. I don't know what the percentages is, but I'm 20. I'm 25 now. I learned this skill when I was 23, and so you do the math. What is that? 90 something percent of my life, I could not do this, right? 93% of my life, I don't know. Do the math for me. I couldn't do this, right? And the last 2 years is the only times when I could. And so just recognize that this is exactly what I help my clients through, right? This is a girl that I even said this on the outro. I said, yeah, this kind of girl I used to like see on the cover of a magazine when I was 14, 15, 16 years old. And I used to think like, oh yeah, this girl's hot. Like, I wish, maybe if I was 6'8" and I was an NBA player and I was a millionaire, then maybe I would give it a shot. But yeah, not me, right? Not Ephraim, obviously. I just, the cards weren't dealt in my favor. I can never get a girl like this. I'm not tall enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not looks maxed enough. Jawline, blah, blah, blah. My client John, when I was coaching him, he told me for the first time about canthal tilt. Fuck, like, what the fuck are we talking about, man? The guys are just so lost. It's insane. But anyway, so I see the girl, I clock her, I see her taking her selfies, and I'm still giving the breakdown of the two Italian sisters. And so I just make a little note in my head of like, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go approach this girl. And so as I'm giving the breakdown, I literally just stop what I'm doing and I go, okay, Dirty Dan, just give me a moment. I gotta go and say hello to her. And so I catch her. Now what was she wearing? You'll see this in the infield, but she was wearing these rain boots that were up to like, a little shorter than her knee. Then she was wearing a mini skirt, right? It's pissing rain, right? It's a proper model outfit, right? Then she's wearing a mini skirt, like a plaid pinstriped mini skirt, and then she's got a matching pinstripe blazer on. And now, to be fair, the rain had lightened up a bit, so people didn't have their umbrellas out quite yet when I approached her. And then, so I get in front of her, right? Once again, Spanish supermodel. And to be fair, I'm putting the word super in front of it because I don't even know what the difference is between a supermodel and a model, but supermodel just sounds better. Either way, she was hot as fuck. So hopefully you're getting the point. But I walk in front of her, normal, normal spiel, normal approach. I say excuse me. I clock very quickly that she's not British. Because she has a little accent, not a British accent, and so I go, "You're not from here, are you?" And she says, "No." And I go, okay, not me either. Where are you from? And then she asked me, she says, guess. And so I guessed Italy, right? Because I had just spoken to the Italian sisters, and I go, Italy? And she goes, no, I'm from Spain. And so I start speaking to her in Spanish because I know a little bit of Spanish. Then I tell her that I was just in Barcelona earlier this year and I'm going back next month. So we have a little common ground immediately right there. And then we continue talking for a bit, and she tells me she's from Malaga, and I ask her, why is she dressed so elegantly? Like, is this her work outfit, and she goes, "No, no, this is just how I dress." And then eventually I end up saying like, so what are you doing out here in London? And she says, "Oh, I'm here for work. I'm a model." And then I smile at her and I go, "Yeah, yeah, I could have guessed that. Yeah, I could have guessed that." Um, which is hilarious because when I now the more that I think about it, it's like even a model who literally gets told that she's beautiful every fucking day. She got people cutting checks just for her beauty. Even a model appreciates when a guy walks over and tells her how fucking good she looks, right? Like if like how insane is that? Like if any woman in this world is desensitized to a compliment, it's like who other than a model? Yet she still gave me an amazing reaction. She still loved talking to me the entire time. And so, yeah, just food for thought, right? It's like sky really is the limit with this skill set. So continuing on though, so yeah, we this is a really fun part. I should probably edit the title to add this in. So eventually the rain starts coming down heavier, and she pulls out her umbrella, right? And so at first she's holding it over her head, and then I look at her and I go, "Huh, where's mine? Do you have my umbrella in your purse too? Where's mine?" And then she laughs at that, and I go, "No, no, it's okay." And then about 10 seconds later, the rain starts really coming down, and I go, "Hey, is it alright if I join you under that umbrella?" And she says, "Yeah, yeah, totally." So Spanish supermodel, dressed in knee-high boots, a mini skirt, and a pinstripe blazer. Girl that when I was 17 years old, I would have seen in a magazine and probably jerked off to. That quality of girl is inviting me under her. To be fair, I invited myself, but she accepted my invitation. She's holding her umbrella for me in the rain on a bridge in London, right? So imagine the scenic views, and is loving the conversation that we're having, right? Now these days, right? I'm building it up like something grandiose. Today, I just expect this. Because I already know that women respond to different things that what men respond to. And so I'm already aware that this girl sees me in the same light that all these other girls that I walk up to that are not models, for instance, see me, because they're just seeing a courageous fucking guy. So it's like, let's say a girl that's kind of cute sees me walk over to her, that's still bold as shit. And let's say a model sees me walk over to her, that's still bold as shit, right? It's no difference, yeah. And so I already understand that, and so to me, I go, yeah, no shit, no shit, she stopped for me. Yeah, no shit, she appreciated the compliment. I don't see her any different. She just happens to be hotter. But like when I'm thinking about this as like the 23-year-old version of me who could never have believed that a girl like this would ever even talk to me, I'm going, it's just it's crazy the lies we were sold. It's crazy the red pill bullshit that we consumed telling us that we needed to be looks max, money max, jaw maxed, and gym maxed if we ever wanted to even get any attention from any girls. And we had to wait on a fucking choosing signal, these fools would tell us. Just for me to not have any of that shit, right? All I did was add a nose ring. I have less money than I did back then, back before Cold Approach when I was working a 6-figure remote programming job. I have less muscle, even though I barely had any muscle back then. I have even less now. and and I have a way crazier dating life, and I have the balls to walk over to a supermodel. So it's like, fuck me, was I lied to? Yeah, I just really feel for that 23-year-old and younger version of myself, and that's why I make content, is because I try to help all of the men who have been misguided in my generation, in previous generations, and certainly in the generations that are coming up right now. To the Johns of the world, my first ever private coaching client, he's 21 years old, and the guy came to me and said, "Ephraim, I don't think I can get girls because apparently my canthal tilt is not ideal." I go, "What are you fucking talking about, guy?" He was just so entrenched in this weird dogma and this weird information, and he believed it, right? That's what he was sold. And then what do you know, right? John, one of my first ever client, has his instant date with the hottest girl in the Belgrade Strip on the first day of his immersion. And if you don't believe me, just go watch the fucking video. Yeah, I got him and the hottest girl on the strip in that white dress right on the thumbnail. Fuck me. Yeah, this is the same guy who was asking me about canthal tilt 10 minutes previous. Oh, fuck. Yeah, life is funny. Life is really funny. But anyway, so just continuing on here. So we have this romantic, intimate moment, right, where obviously we're close together. We have to be close enough to where the umbrella is shielding me and her, so we're fairly close, and we just met 2 minutes prior. And yeah, we just continue having a fun chat just about London, Barcelona. We're talking a little bit in Spanish, a little bit in English, and eventually I start to ask her out. And so I tell her, as a model, I imagine you don't drink, right? And she says, yeah, no, I don't drink. I like to watch my health and this and that. And I say, do you drink coffee? And she says, yeah, I drink coffee. And so I just tell her I want to take her out. I say something, I'm pretty sure I said something along the lines of either while here in London or when I'm in Barcelona, because she lives in Spain, I say, I want to take you out. And then that's when she drops the bomb on me, the heartbreaking bomb that I have a boyfriend. And I go, oh, I start crying in Spanish and I go, oh, mi corazón, mi duele mi corazón, which means my heart hurts. I think I said, my heart is broken. I say, mi corazón es roto. My heart is broken. And so she's laughing, she's smiling, she's laughing. So obviously I don't switch up the energy when I find out she's taken, but yeah. And then I just tell her, it was fun. It was fun getting to know her, and I hope she enjoys her trip in London, and I wish her a nice day. And then I keep it moving. But it's either way it worked out, right? Because this girl was for content anyways. So even if she was single and wanted to go on a date, as difficult as this would have been, I would have given her a fake WhatsApp number, and I never would have been able to actually take her out because content comes first right now for me. But I said this during the outro after we got out of the rain. We went under an overpass to shield ourselves from the rain, and I remember I was breaking down that approach, and I was giving an outro, but I was just saying like, once again, those are like if the camera was not rolling, and if she was single and not in a relationship already, then that is the kind of girl that pretty much every guy that I know and that I've met would be so quick to jump into a relationship if she was, if it was reciprocated, because it's like it's rare it's rare you even come across a girl that's that hot. And it's like, I'm not just talking out of my ass here. I mean, the girl's a fucking model from Spain that was flown out to the fashion capital of London just for her services of modeling. So it's like, yeah, it's not that often that you come across a girl that's that hot just out in everyday life. And so the fact that now this version of me can walk over to her and, in a parallel universe where she's single, probably actually get a date lined up with that girl, probably actually like take her out on a coffee date, and who knows what happens from there. It's like, remember, 5'9", 5'9". I weigh 145 pounds last time I checked. Um, grew up, could not get any interest from girls growing up. Always friend zoned, literally always friend zoned. Was the laughing stock of my friend group, because all my friends were jocks. And they're all athletes just like me, but the difference between me and them is they all got girlfriends, and all the girls liked them. And when it came to Ephraim, I could never do it. I could never get the girl, and they would always, like, literally the women would make fun of me in my school. That's how sad it was. I was known as the guy who could not get girls, and like I was that. When this is a funny way to describe myself, but on like sports teams when there's a heavily disabled, like heavily handicapped person on the team, and it's like a Make-A-Wish kid, and they give him like the basketball, and everybody clears the court, and they're like, all right, little Johnny with Down syndrome, like just shoot the ball, and it goes in, and everybody cheers, like the Make-A-Wish kid. Now, thankfully, it wasn't that severe, but that's like that's how I felt growing up as far as dating. Was like my friends would like my friends knew that I was so insecure that I had no girls around, and they all had girlfriends, and they could sense that I was so upset and insecure about it that like it got to a point where they even stopped bullying me about it. Like it got, you know, at first they were just like, yeah, shut up, Ephraim, you can't get girls anyway. Yeah, none of these girls fucking like you. And and they saw how upsetting it got me, right? Because maybe they thought, by the time this guy's a junior, surely this is gonna change for him, right? But no, right? Freshman year, they're all getting girlfriends. I was not. Sophomore year, same thing. And junior year rolled around, and finally they probably were like, all right, maybe we should just take it easy on Ephraim, dude. We don't know. This guy might jump off a bridge if we keep doing this. And so my friends, rather than bullying me, they would literally try to, somewhat help me and like, try to get me drunk enough to like push me over to that girl at the party and hope that I could do something, but I would always fuck it up. And there were a couple of times actually where my teammates that were when I was a junior and I had senior teammates on the football team. Shout out to him. I imagine he'll never see the stream, but he knows who he is. He was the guy that always had house, and he would throw parties at his house. And he kind of took me under his wing, man, and he set me up with the girl that was in his grade. And she wore my jersey, right? Those of you who've seen that live stream, she wore my football jersey to the crosstown rivals game, and I scored 2 touchdowns that game. I was like the star of the show, even though we lost, but I was like the star of the game at my school. And then yeah, I fucked it up. Still somehow still fucks even that up. Even with all that touchdown football clout that I had, I still fucked it up. Never got so much as a kiss off of that girl. Most I got was a hug, and then she fucked her ex at the party she invited me to, and it's like I was hopeless, man. Hopefully this is relatable. I was so hopeless. Finally I ended up getting a little bit of luck towards the end of high school, but even that just ended in absolute flames where I just got obsessed with the girl. I just stopped hanging out with my friends and they just ghosted me eventually because I was such a pussy whipped little bitch. And that girl thought the exact same because she ended up fucking another guy on my graduation night, right? And it's like, I can say these very neutrally now because they don't mean shit anymore. But when I was living through that, right, I imagine some guys that watch my content, right, they've got the equivalent stories, right? So maybe for them it wasn't graduation night, but it was prom night. But either way, it's like a lot of us that come across this space and invest into it and follow along, oftentimes we're pretty damaged people because we didn't grow up having this shit sorted. Yeah, unfortunately, I see it as fortunate because I got to develop myself into this person. But still, it's like I always feel for that younger version of myself, and I feel for all the guys that are in a similar position or once were because it sucks, doesn't it? It sucks just seeing your golden boy friend being able to pull the prom queen and take her to homecoming and shit while you're the sidekick. Always seeing the girls look at him and go, God, why can't I figure this out? And so yeah, just to have that and just to have that complete 180 now, where I imagine guys come across my channel and they see me as something similar. They see me as like, oh, this is the guy who must have been crushing it with women his whole life. And yeah, they're so wrong about that. Yeah, it's quite the opposite. I've just figured it out. Yeah, one approach at a time. I figured it out, and now I just dedicate my life to teaching it to guys that are in a similar position to where I used to be because I know how painful it is when you're in that abyss, when you're in that lonely abyss, when you're going to sleep alone every night, even though you can hear your roommate banging a hot girl in the other room and you're going to sleep lonely. It's like I just know what it's like to be in that position and it sucks. It's a dark place, but the good news is there's hope. And why do you think I made my fucking channel? Why do you think I stepped out of the shadows and decided to share the skill set? Is because once I unlocked it and once I started to get results with it, I realized, I could just keep this to myself. I could just keep this a secret and go travel the world as a remote programmer and just go bang a lot of girls in a bunch of different countries and shit. And sure, maybe that'll make me feel good about myself for a period of time, but instead of doing that, I thought, hmm, maybe I can actually just change the world with this instead. Maybe rather than just being selfish and keeping it to myself, maybe I can just show guys the light. Show the guys that are in the same position that I was, going 8, 9, 10 months at a time without getting laid and just hating their life because of it. Pretending, oftentimes family and friends, they have no idea. They think you're doing all right when in reality you're just dreading the fact that you have to go to work again when you're horny. You're just dreading the fact that you got to go do your chores or go to the gym again while you're just so horny. All you want to do is get laid, but you just cannot figure it out, and you refuse to stoop down to prostitution, right? You refuse to hire a hooker. Those are the guys that I help, right? The guys that just they don't have it figured out, but they're no different than the Giga Chads, right? They're no less entitled to a fun rock star dating life than the more physically gifted people in this world, right? The 6'7" NBA player genetic type guys, they just had a better hand. You know, they had a luckier hand, and you know that's not to their credit, but it's also not to our detriment, right? Because I found a way to get that sort of a dating life and that sort of a reality without having to have that sort of a physicality, and it's called daytime approach. And if you don't believe me, then just re-listen to the live stream where I just told you that I like once again Spanish supermodel, right? And I'm 5'9". Yeah, I used to think I had to be 6'6". I had to be in the NBA. I thought I had to be in the NFL or something to even get that girl to talk to me, let alone love me, share her umbrella with me. Fuck, you know, if she was single, I promise that we'd be on a date. I mean, obviously, I can't guarantee it, but you know, based on how the conversation was going, it just, you know, and it's like same guy that could not get a sniff in high school, same guy that was like the equivalent of a Make-A-Wish kid when it comes to dating in high school. Just absolute bottom of the barrel. Friends would ridicule me, you know, and so yeah. Hopefully, this portion of the live stream gives you hope. I imagine most people won't watch this far into the stream, but this is oftentimes when the streams get the most real is at the end. Yeah, when I just tell you about who I really was and who I am now and how I got here. Yeah, because so often I focus on the approach and the mechanics, and that's fine and stuff because I'm you know I'm sharing how to build a skill, and you know I come from a technical background as a software engineer and as a software salesman as well, and so it only makes sense that I'm technical, and a lot of my subscribers are very technical guys as well. So you know I know they appreciate how I can break things down like a nerd, but just don't forget that you know the skill set is nice and all, but it's less about it's less about the fact that you can get phone numbers and bang girls. Like you know, great. You'll trust me. You're gonna get to that point. It's gonna feel fun. You're gonna do it enough, and then you're gonna go, okay, but like, what's next? Yeah, is this the only reason I was after this skill set and this lifestyle? Is this it? Is it so I can get this release whenever I want? This testosterone release, and then very soon you're gonna find out that the dates and the happy endings, that's actually the smallest benefit that you're getting when you learn this skill set. Yeah, the true benefit that you're getting is the peace of mind that comes with knowing that you can get laid when you want without having to go 8 months because you're stuck in incel mode, right? Like the true benefit is just knowing that. It's not exercising it whenever you want. Like right now, I'm purposely not exercising it. I'm purposely giving out fake phone numbers and I'm going monk mode and I'm just focusing on content. I'm not going on any dates just so I can invest into this mission and this vision that I have of changing the world with this skill set and changing the lives of a whole generation of guys. But that's what I mean is like if I didn't know that I can get laid, I wouldn't have the power within me to be able to just give out a fake WhatsApp number and purposely not go on dates. You know, it's like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I could not go on a date if I fucking wanted to. Yeah, and so that's what makes you. It feels like you're kind of trapped. You're like in psychologic. You're like psychologically incarcerated. You know, because you want to go on dates, but you don't know how to generate a date, and so you're almost trapped in your mind. Where you're like, fuck me. I guess I just got to go watch my favorite porn star again. This is my only outlet. And but once again, the smallest benefit that you're getting from this skill set is, oh, there you go. Now you can get laid without now you're not going months at a time without getting laid. Now you can do it in a couple days to weeks, depending on how solid you get with the skill set and how many reps you fucking put in, right? But then you quickly realize after you have your fun there, you go, okay, like I've had my fun. I know what it's like to not be sexually frustrated anymore for a prolonged period of time. I know what that feels like now. So what's next? And then you start to realize, wait a second. Now that I know that I can get laid when I want, I don't have to focus on getting laid anymore. And so then you start to get your brain back. It's like our brain when we went through puberty. It's like our brain was hijacked by our physiology. And this testosterone that we have just started surging in front of our brain, and it clouded all of our vision. And now we don't know what we want. We don't know what to do. Remember when we were young and pre-pubescent kids, and we were just all we were worried about was like wrestling with our friends and playing on the playground and running after running and squashing bugs and playing on the monkey bars and going on the swings, and everything was like fun and joyous and stuff. And then we go through puberty, and all of a sudden there's you probably haven't even thought about that phase of your life, but it was reality at one point. And then we hit this point where now our balls are filled with testosterone, with this hormone, and we can't even focus on the we can't even smell the flowers, right? We can't even stop to smell the roses in life anymore, because our brain it has this mission, right? Survival and reproduction. All of a sudden we're a man, and so we're thrust into the world, and we're told now you have to produce, produce, produce. Oh, and also there's also this like 24/7 nagging force at the forefront of your brain that is also known as horniness. And you have to figure out a way to you have to figure out you find an outlet for that. And so most guys just take the easiest route possible, which is they just shack up with the first girl that's giving them that sexual outlet, which is who I used to be as well. Right, when I was 21 years old, I let a girl move in with me, and I was barely attracted to her, but at the time I was like, oh, no one else is blowing me, fuck it, I guess you're my girlfriend now, yeah, let's move in. And most guys take that route, right? And I'm not saying that's the wrong route, but that is the route more traveled, right? Most guys, they shack up with the girl that they're like, yeah, she's all right, but they didn't even choose her. She chose them off a dating app, oftentimes, or high school sweetheart, oftentimes, or drunk hookup, and they're like, fuck, I don't want to go back to a bar again and try to get laid again. It took me 10 weeks last time. You know what? Let me just hit up Susie again. So it's like most guys take that route, and I'm not here to say that that's the wrong route, or they're any lesser as far as people and intrinsic value, but I just took a different route, and because I took the harder route, I was able to build the harder skill, and now I have the harder to achieve life, where I have the abundance, and I don't have to shack up with any girl. I can just go, I'm actually going to spend this month focusing on the lives of other men and changing their lives, and I'm just not even going to focus on my own sex drive this month. I'm just going to say fuck it. And like that's that. Think about how powerful of a position that is to be in, right? So and the best part is I didn't get here through religion, right? I didn't pray my way into it, because I know that's a big thing, right? I might have some devout Christians listening to this, and they're going, oh, I've been like that my whole life, I'm saving myself for marriage. Good on you, guy. But just because you're saving yourself for marriage does not mean you can get laid when you want to. But hey, shout out to you for being celibate, I guess. But no, the once again, the point is the value you're getting goes beyond you being able to get your balls drained whenever you want. All right, the value you're getting is now you being able to filter your life correctly and make decisions with your brain rather than your balls. And now you see life for what it is, and you see what you actually want to be doing with your time, rather than spending 2 hours a day on Tinder, 1 hour a day mass DMing girls on Instagram, a few more hours at work trying to hit on your fucking barista coworkers, or wherever you're at, your university coworkers. It's like instead of wasting your time doing that, you'll spend like 40 minutes a week when you're walking to the coffee shop and back, putting up a few shots. One girl, two girl, three girl, blow out, blow out, blow out. But what do you know? The fourth girl likes you. Now you have a date for Friday. How easy was that? Rather than buying Tinder Gold and Tinder Passport and swiping away on girls that are 50 miles away. You're spending $100 on gas just to get your dick sucked, man. Come on. Doesn't have to be this hard. But people make it this hard because the easier the path, the harder the life, so. And then obviously that beyond just being able to make decisions with your head rather than your balls, beyond that, it's the confidence spillover, right? It's the courage spillover, it's the assertiveness spillover. Because I've built all of those skills through the medium of approach. Now, when I'm faced with moments in life where I need to be more assertive or I need to be more courageous, I can. Right? If you go back to about a week ago, I titled the live stream something like I saved a girl from danger today, right? And when we got to the main portion of that live stream, it was a bus full of like what must have been 30 to 50 people on the bus, right? Full bus. And there was an aggressor. There was a girl who seemed to be out of her mind, and she was spitting on people and cussing out people. And I was the only fucking guy on that whole bus in a country. This was my second or third day in the country, first ever time here, and I was the only one on the bus full of citizens, and I'm a non-citizen that had the balls to speak up, stop the girl, right? Stop her from causing more harm to people and stop her from spitting on people. I was the only fucking guy who stopped the chaos. Nobody else around me said a thing, not even raised a hand. They barely even looked up, right? They were all so scared. And this is what I mean. Is like I've never taken a fighting class or a jiu-jitsu class or anything. So that courage and assertiveness came from cold approach, right? I built it through this skill, yeah, of facing my fear in the most radical way possible. I mean, to be, obviously not facing my fear in the context of like military training, but that would be way more extreme. But when it comes to socially, like, this is on par with stand-up comedy and acting, I would imagine, right? In public speaking. So it's like, yeah, it's the assertiveness, it's the bravery, it's the permission to live my life how I want to. That's a big one. Yeah, that's a big one that I think that guys overlook quite a bit is when you walk when you give yourself permission, right? When you work with me, I give you permission to walk over to the girl. And so now you have the permission within you. And so now when you're back home and we're done with our private coaching experience, you're giving yourself that permission to walk over to the girl. But what's interesting is that also has a spillover because now you're not just giving yourself permission to go after what you want in a dating context, but now you're doing it in a life context, right? Just like Paul from yesterday's live stream, right? One of my clients that just put in his 12-week resignation notice for his job because he wants to get that same job but remote because he says that he can do his job remote and there's plenty of remote positions. And he says that he doesn't like the city that he lives in and his parents would be so upset with him for just quitting his job ad hoc and going, fuck it, I'm gonna just get another job and I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna get a remote job, same pay or better pay, but now I get to travel and do whatever the fuck I want with my time and I don't have to stay in the shit city. And before working with me, this was in the back of his head, but he would never ever have pulled the trigger because, or maybe it would have taken him another 10 years to do it. And then about a month after our private coaching, he comes back to his home city. He realizes that now he has permission to chase after what he wants in dating. And then he looks at his job and he's like, why am I not doing the same thing with my career? And then what do you know? He sends me a voice note. I send him my reply. And the next message I get from him is, just sent in my resignation, check mark. And I'm like, there you fucking go, right? Permission. Permission to just say fuck it, go after what you want. Yeah. Just chase your dream unapologetically. And then, another big benefit that guys get that they really overlook. This is like, oh, this is what so many guys overlook. Probably the biggest benefit that you're getting when you learn daytime cold approach, right? And you may not get why this is the case, but you realize that you only have one shot on this earth. Time starts to, you get a different concept of what time is because you used to spend, let's say, 6 to 8 hours of your day trying to find a way to get laid. This is between you scrolling on Instagram and liking and commenting on photos of girls that you went to school with. Yeah, I know you. Yep, I'm talking to you because I used to do the same shit, right? That's between doing that plus swiping on Tinder until you literally run out of matches and your Tinder says, oh, sorry, you've run out of people. Please expand your range to find more dates. And so then you expand it to 100 miles. And now you're genuinely considering driving 100 miles if you get a fucking match, and you probably don't get a match. Yes, you. I'm talking to you because I know, because I've been there too. Yeah, and then you buy the fucking Tinder Gold because you run out of swipes. Yeah, that annoying little oh, sorry, you're out of swipes. Please buy Tinder Gold if you want unlimited swipes. And then you go, fuck me, I guess I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna pay the $15.99. Fuck it. So you buy Tinder Gold, boom, swipe, swipe, swipe. And then you probably watched a video on how to maximize your dating profile, which talks about, oh, after you've had a profile for 2 months, then it's likely that your card is at the bottom of the deck. So you want to delete your account and then recreate your Tinder account, and then just use that new Tinder account boost that you always get, and then you'd probably remake the exact same account, use the same photos, different bio this time. Oh, this one will definitely hook them, right? And I'm laughing because I know guys can fucking relate to this. Because this is the shit that I was doing too. 2.5 years ago, I was doing all this stupid shit. Right? I have my friends back in North Beach that they don't know anything about approach. They're frat guys that went to a university in California. And I met them out playing pool. But anyways, we became pretty good friends because they're real solid guys and I like to go out with them, right? But they get all their leads through dating apps. And I remember one day my friend told me, he goes, Ephraim, dude, you're still not on the apps? And I go, nah, man, I'm not on the apps. And he goes, dude, you gotta get Hinge, bro. I found a cheat code. I found a loophole. You gotta get Hinge. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? And he goes, no, look, I found this loophole, bro. If you just set your age range to 70 plus, so like set the age of girls that you're looking for to 70 plus, he goes, all of a sudden it shows you all the hot 21-year-old babes, and it shows you them first. It shows your profile first, and I'm going, oh my god, how fucking pathetic, man. How pathetic that we have to watch YouTube tutorials on how to maximize our chances in an algorithm where we don't even have any control, and the how fucking pathetic. Yeah. But cold approach, what does it do? It gives you a different concept of time, and it shows you that, if so much can change so drastically in such a small amount of time, i.e., a coaching immersion, right? My client Isaac and Sam out in LA, right? Like they really get this because this has happened for them very recently, where they were in a position where they were sexually frustrated all the time, and then they learned this skill set, and now they're going out, they're applying it, they're getting better at it, they're lining up dates, and they're going, wait a second. So I used to spend like 8 hours a day trying to get laid, and it never worked. 10 months would go by, I still wouldn't have a date. And then I spent 3 days learning this skill set, and don't get me wrong, it didn't happen overnight, but fuck me, they start applying the skill set a few times, and what do you know, a week, 2, 3 weeks later, after being consistent, all of a sudden a date pops up there. Now they got a date on Friday and Saturday night. Oh shit, Wednesday night as well. And it's like, wait, so I spent 3 days to figure out how to do all of this, and I got all this return. So where else am I fucking off in life? Right? It's like, then they start to look at their career and they go, wait, so like, I'm almost 30 years old now, and I've told myself that I want to travel, and I'm looking at my parents, right? I'm a great example of this. I'm looking at my dad, who my entire adulthood so far, and even teenage years, he told me like, yeah, son, I'm gonna do all this travel as soon as I start to get older. I'm gonna do all this travel, and to his credit, he has started going places and stuff, but he's starting to have health complications, and he's gonna go to Europe for the first time next month, and he's getting up there in age, and it's like, part of me just wonders if I mean, to be fair, he said this to me verbatim, but it's like, part of me just wonders if he regrets not doing this earlier, right? And to his credit, he was raised in a different time where the internet wasn't so advanced, and so it wasn't such a powerful tool that he could leverage. But it's like, what's our excuse? What's our excuse? I was raised when I was 8 years old. I had my first iPod Touch, yeah, which means I had internet anywhere there was a Wi-Fi router. And then by the time I was 12 or 13, I had my first iPhone. So it's like, what is our excuse? If if we've got people that are making money from doing TikTok dances on the internet, and they're making bringing in 6 figures a month, what is our excuse? We could figure something out, right? There's something out there that we can. And so it's like, once again, what am I hammering home? You learn this skill set, and then you look at your career and you're like, what the fuck am I doing here, man? Why am I living in a city I don't like, clocking into a job I don't even fucking like? Yeah. Paul was telling me how he keeps having to prepare all these presentations, and he goes, I don't even give a fuck about the presentations. I just have to prepare them. And I have to spend all of this mental energy preparing them when I would rather just be outside approaching and lining up dates. And I go, you don't say. So why the fuck are you doing it, man? Why are you doing it? Why are you choosing to do it? It's that safety net, right? It's that fear of the unknown, because we're all afraid that if we just jump off the fucking ship and say, oh my god, we're just afraid that if we jump out of the plane, the parachute's not gonna deploy, right? We're afraid that somehow, somewhere, we're gonna end up under a bridge, or when in the context of approach, guys are scared that somehow, someway, if they walk over and compliment a girl, they're gonna end up arrested and getting pepper sprayed and being put on a predator list or some shit. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Ephraim arrested and put on a predatory list for walking over to a girl respectfully and giving her a genuine compliment. Like, Ephraim thrown in jail for complimenting girl. Like this, yeah, it's just unrealistic, right? It's unrealistic. So especially if you know what you're doing, right? Which is why I stress learn the mechanics and learn them well. But Yeah, that's some of the stuff you get from approach, man. It's not just about getting your little Willy Wonka wet. Yeah, it's not about getting Willy wet. I promise you. I promise you, Willy Wonka will have his fair share, and then you'll go, all right. I mean, I'm good there. I'm not horny all the time anymore. Or when I am horny, I got that girl that I was dating last month, and she still wants to see me, so that's cool. That's sorted. But like, what about the rest of my fucking life, huh? And what about my parents that are getting old that told me they wanted to travel the world? Maybe I could start to pour more of my focus into saving up money and actually booking those trips before they pass, right? I mean, think about the depth of thinking here, right? It's not just about that's what I'm saying that those hormones they truly are like a fucking cloud. It's like a mist that's in front of every single man that's around my age to all the way up to like 45 when our testosterone finally starts to taper off. It's like this unsatiable drive that we have, and if we do not have an outlet for it, i.e. sex, and to take it a step further, we do not have a way to get sex, i.e. dates, then what do guys do? They turn to either just constant masturbation, they turn to prostitution and just buying hookers off the street, or they kind of turn to video games and sugar, and they just lock themselves in a basement and they say, you know what, the world is just too hard out there. I'm just gonna clock in, clock out, come home, and then live in the League of Legends world. Live in the realm of Battlefield or whatever the games are that the fucks are playing. Live in the world of Call of Duty and NBA 2K. I'm just gonna live in this fantasy world my whole life because the outside world is just too difficult. I'm not getting the responses that I want from women, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, okay, I think I've been talking long enough. Hopefully you get the point, boys. Now, look, if you resonate with what I'm saying and you've seen my videos and you've seen the evidence that I'm proficient with what I do and what I can teach, then if you've reached that breaking point where you're tired of swiping on apps and doing all the shit that I described that I just made fun of, because guess what, I'm guilty. I used to do the same. If you're tired of doing that and you you want to just live a life where you don't have to follow society's rules, you don't have to be so suppressed by the opinions of others and judgment. You're tired of being so scared of being viewed and perceived in public, and you're tired of going months at a time without getting laid, and you're tired of using all of these accessory methods like dating apps and trying to fuck your friends and your coworkers, these weird methods that guys stress, and guys make whole channels and businesses around. Oh, maximize your dating profile. Shut the fuck up. How about you just go outside, guy? How about you just grow some balls and go outside? But anyways, if you're tired of doing that, then look, that's all I fucking teach. For the last 2.5 years, I have been iterating on this skill set and turning it into a product for guys like you. All right. The person that grew up thinking they needed to be extroverted to get girls, and they read the mystery method and they're like, fuck me, do I really got to do push-ups and shit? I really got to vibe stack and neg? Do I got to do this, right? They grew up watching Owen Cook and the rest of the RSD guys just like I did, and they went, oh my God, do I really have to fucking go to a bar when I don't feel like it at 2 a.m. and do the worm on the ground on the sticky ass nightclub? I got to do the worm just to get the girl? Really? I got to bring my friends around and wear a fucking top hat and employ the mystery method in order to get laid? I got to do all this stupid shit? No disrespect to those guys. Those are absolute pioneers of the space, and I probably wouldn't have even come across it if it weren't for those guys. But just like everything else in life, we iterate. Yeah, we progress, and we have long since progressed. The industry has needed a refresh for far too long. And nice to meet you. My name is Refresh. All right, here we are. So we don't have to do any of that stupid shit. Yeah, my channel is for the introverts that don't want to do any of that fucking stuff, and we also don't want to rely on apps. And so, what is our solution? Yeah, our solution is we grow a set of balls, we walk over to the girl, we learn how to do that effectively, we rep that out, and we change our reality one day, one approach, one conversation at a time. All right, boys. So, yeah, I can install that playbook that I've developed over the last 2.5 years into your life. And I can't install it into everybody now. It's going to take some work on your end, don't get me wrong. So I'm very particular about who I work with. But if you want to apply for my coaching, then first link in the description below. Schedule a free application call with me. We'll see if you're a good fit. If you're a good fit, then your life will never be the same after we work together. And if you're not a good fit, then I'll still spend the duration of the call giving you as much advice and answering your dating related questions and setting you up for success, giving you a roadmap, giving you some direction in this area of your life so that you don't have to try to figure it out on your own and you don't have to walk through it blindly. And so you can stop watching the dating app maximizer type creators on YouTube. All right, boys. So it's almost midnight here. I'm going to go ahead and get some sleep, but I hope you have a good night. Hope you enjoyed. Onwards and upwards. Let's take over the world. I'll see you tomorrow.